YouTuber.
Anyway, let's go to some questions from chat because I don't want them to think that we're ignoring them. So, from GTA 5, how many cubes do you own, Blake?
How many cubes do I own? Well, right now they're kind of split up. I have a whole bunch back at home, and I
Uh
have
huh.
a decent amount at my apartment currently.
Mm-hmm.
And
By the way, it's such a nice apartment. It's so clean. It
yeah,
looks
I
so
mean,
comfy.
there's not much space, so it's hard for it to get messy, at least
Uh
to
huh.
stay
Ha,
messy.
ha.
I think maybe around 200 or so.
Uh
It
huh.
sounds like a lot, but I've been cubing for a long
But
time,
that's
so.
puzzles, not cubes, right? Puzzles. That includes like clock and
Mhm.
mega. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I love non-WCA things, so
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of those puzzles. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
over time, you pick up like a non-WCA puzzle here and there that you think
Uh
looks
huh.
cool. You get someone's gifts. Keep up with like the main speed cubes and such, and eventually you're like, holy
Sponsor.
crap!
You're sponsored, right?
Yes, yes. So
Yeah.
that definitely helps. I don't
Yeah.
quite use it to increase the quantity of cubes. I
Uh
usually
huh.
use it on like a need basis. But yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
Well, anyway, let's talk about what people think about you regarding cubing because you're a cuber. Yeah. So let's start with your parents. What do they think about you as a cuber? Like, are they annoyed that you're spending all your money on cubes like that, or are they proud of
um,
your achievements?
Yeah, they were generally always very supportive. They took me to a whole lot of competitions, and
Mm-hmm.
that helps wonders in keeping yourself motivated. And I think they were also very great about
Mm-hmm.
allowing me to pursue cubing while going through my studies, university, high
Mm-hmm.
school, all of that, because they realized it was something that I enjoy, and it separated me from others, and it helped
Mm-hmm.
me overall. Have purpose, analytical skills, whatever, all of that. So they were generally always very supportive,
Uh-huh.
especially at my first few competitions.
Uh-huh.
I was very young,
Mm-hmm.
and
How old?
I wasn't.
Your first comp?
So I think it was 11 or 12 years old.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Anyway, you're still
Yeah.
young until now.
So,
Uh-huh.
same to you. Um,
Thank
so
you. We're
so
pulling each other now.
um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I was very young in my first few competitions relative to most people. I think Cuban has definitely become hit a much younger demographic nowadays,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
back then it was mostly university age students. And
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
so when they brought me to the competition and realized that, they were like, "Oh wow, how how is Blake going to react to this?" I mean, these people they're all older, they're all
Uh-huh.
faster, they're all yeah.
Uh-huh.
Um, but I like to think I took it pretty well, or at least well enough to where they realized, like, this is something he really enjoys. He
Mm-hmm.
met a lot of people through this. They have similar interests and thinking, and why not just you know help them
Mm-hmm.
out with this as much as we can? And
Uh-huh.
so they took me to a lot of competitions,
Oh,
um, you know, bought me puzzles and such
well, that's so
to keep
nice.
up the
You're actually
pace.
so lucky to have such nice parents. Some
Yeah.
cubers that I know, they save their own money just to buy a cube. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And their
Yep. It
parents.
was
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it was a mix of both. Sometimes I'm saving up money to buy my own puzzles, but you
Uh-huh.
can't really do that quite as easily if unless your
Mm-hmm.
your parents are paying for some of them. So
Yeah. Anyway,
yep.
so same question, but this time non-cubing friends. What do they think about you as a cuber? Mm-hmm.
It's something that I like to bring up. The funny thing is that it's such a big part of my life. I've been doing it for so long
Uh-huh.
that there are a lot of experiences that other people have that I can tie to it in some capacity. Um, and so I've recently been trying to
Uh-huh.
try to avoid that. You don't want keeping to come into every conversation,
Uh-huh.
even though it totally can, and a lot of the time it makes sense. So I try to shy away from that, but people love it when I bring a cube and they can show somebody that I can solve it. Um,
They always
and
point at you like, "Hey, Blake can solve a Rubik's cube." Like, yeah.
yeah, and I like to think that some of my friends I cubing,
Mm-hmm.
uh, they liked how unique I was in the sense that I
Mhm.
enjoy cubing.
Mhm.
There's one friend who lives very close to me right now, actually, and we
Mhm.
met in university, and I think that was a big reason why we became friends.
Oh,
She
that's so
found out that I
nice.
could solve
Mhm.
the cube, and
Uh-huh.
yeah, we've been pretty close ever since.
Uh-huh. So what
Yeah.
about negative thoughts about cubing? Do you have any do you receive any negative feedback from strangers or other people about cubing? I think
Not
one of
really.
the worst that I got, I was in the insurance company. I used to work in an insurance company, and most
Mhm.
of the other agents they were old ladies. Yeah, so I was playing Rubik's Cube just to pass my time, and they said that, "Hey, you're already old. Why are you still playing with that toy?" Yeah, and I thought that this is not a toy. I just kept quiet and continued solving. So do you get any comments like that from strangers, like weird comments?
I really don't think so. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'm good about tuning it out, or
Uh-huh.
maybe I'm too intimidating that they're scared
Uh-huh.
to criticize cubing, right?
You've
Um,
never been called a nerd before? By the way, is nerd negative? Is it rude?
See, I don't know. I never really liked the word because
Uh-huh.
while it represents some kind of like intelligence or unique thinking,
Uh-huh.
it growing up is used in a context of like, wow, you're an outcast, you're weird
Mm-hmm.
because you have this interest. So I never really was crazy about that word, even though
Mm-hmm.
um, some people kind of identify by it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I think in like middle school or say, which
Mm-hmm.
is like um, the 3 years of schooling that I did before high school and then
Mm-hmm.
university. I think there was a couple of people who stood out that said like that gave the impression that they thought it was weird.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't think people have been all that vocal about it if they criticized it. Maybe I don't
Mm-hmm.
know enough people outside of cubing, but generally everybody that I've that knows about it
Mm-hmm.
has pretty well received it. And I think it's about how you convey it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you realize that somebody doesn't quite understand what you're doing. Like, why are you
Mm-hmm.
solving this cube? Why do you go to competitions? And I think if you mention that and you say like you go through the whole explanation of
Mm-hmm.
all these people at competitions, we just hang out. We're not necessarily competing against each other. It's something I do for fun. It
Mm-hmm.
takes my mind off things. All those kinds of sentiments. I
Uh-huh.
think if you explain even a few of those, people can resonate. And I think
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't necessarily think it's a culture thing. I don't think it's a regional thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just a matter of when you reach a certain maturity
Mm-hmm.
and you don't act too entitled, you realize like this is something that's unique. This is
Uh-huh.
something I enjoy.
Uh-huh.
He enjoys, and what's to criticize? So
Yeah. Anyway, I have another cultural question later, but I'm gonna save that for later. Let's read another question from chat. What is your main cube? I'm
uh,
assuming. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I assume this is for 3x3.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back and forth. I really like the WRM, the
Uh-huh.
2019 version. I got a new one because I heard they were discontinued, so I really want to
Mm-hmm.
set that up. Um, and I think if I had to choose my favorite cube, I would choose the Volk 3 M.
Why it's not your main?
Um, um, I wouldn't say it's not necessarily my main. It's just not my
Uh-huh.
go-to cube. Sometimes I
Uh-huh.
try
Uh-huh.
something else.
Uh-huh.
But that's kind of like the old faithful. That's the reliable cube.
Mm-hmm.
It's very tactile. I've competed with it a whole bunch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I also I got this mini 3x3 that I've been really enjoying. So I really want to set this up and try it out because it's smaller. I don't know the
Well, I
exact
don't
size.
see that it's smaller. It looks almost the same, I guess. Is it a
No,
354?
I think it's cute. Um, so this is an MFRS 3
Okay. And the
ever.
other one?
So it's like
I think like a
how much more?
353, 352, like that. Yeah, slightly
Yeah,
smaller, yeah. Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Uh-huh.
But feels very tiny. And I love the 4x4 and 5x5. So
Are you
what
more
about
of
you?
a are you more of a big cube person than a 3 by 3 person?
No.
Yeah.
I don't like practicing big cubes. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
in a whole long time. They just they hurt my wrists.
Uh-huh.
I can't really do too many solves. So
Uh-huh.
I don't really have that much interest in getting faster at them. I'd
Uh-huh.
rather focus on events that where I
Yeah,
can do a lot of
they are
solves.
too long to solve, yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
definitely,
one reason
definitely.
why I don't practice M blind. It takes an hour just to practice once. Yeah, it's just crazy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep. And sometimes you just
Uh-huh.
have a really bad attempt and you wonder why the heck did I spend all the time doing this?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway,
Yeah.
another question from GTA 5. In high school, did you ever cube in class? I think like while the teacher is talking, right? Not during break time. Have you tried that?
Yes, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
I think more so in middle school,
Mm-hmm.
um, because that was when we had a lot more free time during class, and I would always bring like a few cubes every day.
Uh-huh.
And so whenever we had the chance, those all would get passed around, and that
Uh-huh.
was always a fun time.
Yeah.
In high school, I think I did it less.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I would bring a cube
Mm-hmm.
generally every day, but I wouldn't really go through the whole thing of passing it all around and timing solves during class. Usually, I would just casually solve
Uh-huh.
it, if anything.
While listening like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Were your
Not necessarily.
teachers
Yeah,
strict? Can you say that the middle school, high school teachers they are strict?
depends on the teacher and the class.
Mm-hmm.
I think in math courses in high school, generally in the United States, people are really like math and they're really
Mm-hmm.
stubborn about learning it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, And so that's generally a class where the teacher has to be strict to make sure that
Mm-hmm.
everybody is on task and
Mm-hmm.
doing their work. Other classes such as like English or history, generally people like those more. There's a lot of reading involved, and not everybody's a fan of that. But
Mm-hmm.
um, usually the teachers are able to be a lot nicer,
Mm-hmm.
be a lot more passionate about the topic. Um, I think once you get to university, that's where um, that's where
Mm-hmm.
it kind of gets interesting because
Mm-hmm.
the generally the professors don't care too much about the students in the sense of
Uh-huh.
you're kind of just there. So in high school and middle school, everybody's
Mm-hmm.
pretty connected. The classes are generally pretty small, so
Do
yeah.
they confiscate your cubes or your phones when you don't turn them off during class? I think I saw
It
that
might have
once
changed.
in a movie. I don't know which movie. I don't remember. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it might have changed since I've been in school, but um, generally, your phone going off is just obviously it's a mistake. Like you don't want everybody
Mm-hmm.
to know that you're getting a notification that GeoCube is streaming on Twitch. Like you want everybody to know that,
Thanks so
but
much. Uh-huh.
not everybody needs to know, right?
Uh-huh.
If they're not gonna watch, right? So yeah, I do remember in middle school actually, I had like a really old phone,
Mm-hmm.
and I forgot to turn it off, and I think somebody was calling me or something,
Mm-hmm.
and my teacher took away my phone because they thought I was like you weren't supposed to have phones in class at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in high school it was more so like you can have them in class, just make sure they're silent.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
so they are more lenient now than before. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if middle school is different, but at least like later on in my time in school,
Mm-hmm.
it just became more difficult to separate people from phones because there's some technology
Uh-huh.
that's really helped by having your phones. So
Uh,
yeah.
Actually, I heard some teachers, some stories from students here in the Philippines that some of their teachers are confiscating their Rubik's Cube and never return them. I actually really
Mm.
got mad at that because cubes are not free. They are actually somehow expensive, and there are teachers that are just confiscating them. Well, the thing about confiscating things in the Philippines is actually not that new. It's been existing. I don't know now. I'm not a student anymore. Carol, can you tell me, do they still confiscate stuff? Because technically you don't have, or it's not, you're not allowed to bring toys or anything that are not allowed in school. Yeah. And then some students, us, we bring some toys like that, some cards, and the teachers confiscate them and sometimes give them to their children who are also students in that school. So during my time, it was really so nice to be the child of a teacher because you can have a lot of toys from the students that was confiscated by your mom or your dad like that. Yeah, but not sure right now. Carol, at any point you had experience. This is another question from Carol. So I don't know now if they are still confiscating. I hope not anymore. Yeah. Let's answer.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sorry. Mm-hmm.
yeah. I imagine it really depends on the teacher. Sometimes they get so frustrated that,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, the only way I'm going to resolve this problem is by taking the cube. And yeah, it's unfortunate that
And the
they would
cube
keep
is a
it forever.
gun. No way
Yeah,
I'm gonna allow that. Mhm. Yeah.
right. Of
Anyway,
course.
a question from GTA 5, a really quick one. Is that a YJ Zilong Mini 3x3? Your mini earlier.
Yep. Yeah, this
Ah,
mini 3 is that. Yep.
good eye, GTA 5. I'm not really good at looking at cubes like that. I need to look at the core to be able to identify a cube. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh, we have a first chat from Billy. By the way, this is not you, right? Sounds the same.
No.
Billy, hi, hey
It's
Billy,
not.
welcome to the stream. I hope
Yay!
I hope that's not too loud. And yeah, let's answer the question from Carol. Where's that? Mhm.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
burnout question.
So if
Yeah.
at any point you had experienced burnout with cubing, how did you deal with it? Oh, I think Carol is asking from experience. Yeah, so I think you better give him a good advice about it.
Yeah. I mean, cubing doesn't just have to be solving puzzles, solving like 3 by 3 or 4 by 4 or whatever the event.
Mm-hmm.
You can take it in a bunch of different ways, and sometimes people don't like learning algorithms.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's worth a try because sometimes that's something that really excites you. It
Uh-huh.
motivates you to practice more.
Mm-hmm.
Because you want to use those algorithms in a school because hypothetically they should make you faster
Mm-hmm.
if they come up. So that's something I like to do. Um, if I'm just kind of getting lazy about solving,
Mm-hmm.
about actually practicing.
Mm-hmm.
Also, looking at reconstructions of people's solves is generally pretty fun. It's a good way to kind of figure out what you can do differently in your
Mm-hmm.
solves to be more like them.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but also, maybe try out solving different puzzles, different events. I really love non-divisive puzzles, and so that's something
Mm-hmm.
I really like to do
Mm-hmm.
when don't when I'm not necessarily too motivated to practice.
Mm-hmm.
I like just solving things and learning how to solve things. So that's you can take cubing in a whole bunch of different ways, and I
Mm-hmm.
recommend if you're burnt out in terms of just solving or speed solving, then think of other ways you can mess with the cube, or it doesn't even have to be cubing related. Sometimes you just need a little break, and there's nothing
Mm-hmm.
wrong with that.
Oh, I had a
Um,
really long break from streaming and cubing. I just
mhm.
came back last month, actually.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes that's what you need to regain that passion,
Uh-huh.
or at least the same kind of passion that you had before. So, yeah.
Anyway, why are we getting a congratulations here? Oh, okay. Chisaki is sub 15. But do you know Chisaki?
Woo!
I think you know Chisaki personally, no? Or they just know you because you're
Did
famous.
I? I don't know them by their username. Maybe I know them
Uh-huh.
in person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah. Maybe we've been to like a competition together or
Uh-huh.
something like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe.
Speaking
Let me
of
know.
competitions, I think in Israel they're going to have a competition soon, and yeah, I have a lot of friends in Israel right now from Twitch. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
Is Twitch pretty popular over there then, or
I'm not so sure. Maybe it's just my streaming time is just
Mhm.
good for them for their time zone. Probably that's why I have a lot of viewers from Israel. Yeah. Anyway, guys, if you
Right.
have more questions, just chat the questions. I will ask Blake all the questions. Yeah. So going back to school, what is your what do you call this? Highest achievement from school?
My highest achievement.
Uh huh.
That's a great question. I don't
Highest or
know.
best achievement? I don't know how to ask that question properly. Yeah, but
Yeah,
you get the
I
point, right? Mm-hmm.
I think if you want to be nitpicky, I think
Mm-hmm.
highest. I actually, you know what? I think both of them work.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. You're the kind of guy to really think about that for a long time, so I figured I would give you an answer. Um,
But anyway,
but
why do you
it's
think
like
so? Why
it.
do you think so? Uh-huh.
You ask those kind of questions a lot, and you have a background teaching English, so you kind of have that way of thinking. But
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah.
Now
I
I'm
mean, in
afraid to
those two
ask
cases,
questions. Anyway, please answer
I
it.
wish you be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, yeah. So I went to a very large university. I
Mm-hmm.
think we have about like 40,000 people. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
not gonna
That's a
stand out.
lot.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think some easy answers could be
Mm-hmm.
like holding competitions at that university
Mm-hmm.
and keeping like the cubing club going and
Mm-hmm.
the interest there. The competitions that we had were pretty sizable. We
Mm-hmm.
almost always had a wait list,
Mm-hmm.
and we had like 120 competitors at most of them. So that was really cool. I think a big achievement is graduating. That was something that
Oh,
was really cool.
congratulations.
Thank you,
Yeah.
thank
Was
you.
it
Yeah,
difficult to graduate from that school or university?
depends.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose your specialization, and
Uh-huh.
certain of them are less workload than others, and sometimes people take on 2 specializations. That's what I did, but it didn't
Mm-hmm.
really make things more difficult. It was more so just
Mm-hmm.
kind of strategic about how I took my classes. Um, But there are certain majors that majors is like a specialization,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, certain one of them are pretty difficult. That wasn't
Mm-hmm.
a good sentence. I majored one of
Mm-hmm.
6, and that's a very
Again, sorry, I think that was cut a little bit. It was a little choppy. You majored what? Sorry?
in statistics. Um,
Statistics. I hate that.
yeah,
Mhm. I failed
yeah.
statistics 2 times, I guess. Kero
Hey.
is probably didn't fail that. Mhm. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I took it in high school, and I actually didn't do that great in the course, but I really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it, and I think that's something important to take away,
Uh-huh.
that I still decided to pursue it,
Mm-hmm.
and glad that I finished. It was a lot of hard work, and,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't necessarily like math beforehand. I had to take
Mm-hmm.
a lot of math courses, to complete
Mm-hmm.
it, and I found that by the end of those, I started to enjoy math quite a bit
Uh-huh.
more. So that was really cool. I think that's an achievement, and,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think, also just getting into university,
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of factors at play. I
Yeah.
was fortunate enough to get into the one that I did.
Mm-hmm.
It was close to home. It's a great school. It, specializes in a lot of different areas, and so, uh, you have a lot of choice there, and,
Mm-hmm.
so I think all of those are pretty good achievements. I wouldn't say they're
Mm-hmm.
a crowned my best achievement, but,
Hey, did you have a
that's
lot of sleepless nights, or you're one of those relaxed students whom are not doing anything but suddenly just graduate out of the blue?
Um, I wouldn't necessarily say sleepless nights. There were definitely nights where I stayed up for a long time, but,
Mm-hmm.
I really haven't taken, we call them, like, all-nighters, where you just
Uh-huh.
don't go to sleep at all.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't really done any of those, to my knowledge.
Whoa.
So, yeah, I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily say I think I fall in between those 2 groups. Sometimes,
Uh-huh.
I could have stayed up a little bit later to finish something, but I figure, you know what,
Uh-huh.
I'll just wake up earlier.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes that's the better way to approach things.
Yeah.
You know, only get like a few hours of sleep, but, um,
Uh-huh.
if you're a morning person or you can make yourself a morning person that day,
That's
then
so difficult.
that's
Especially
something great.
nowadays that I'm not a student anymore. It's so difficult to wake up early in the morning. Anyway, a side comment from Caro. I love statistics, but man, I did have a hard time with it. Same here. I just said that I
Yeah.
failed it twice. I thought that I understand it, and yeah, I completely understand it. I know what to do. But during the exams, I don't know where my answers are going. Maybe the pressure or what? I don't know. I have no excuses about that. Yeah. Anyway, back to some questions. Sorry, you want to say something? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it gets a lot more fun when you can apply it to things that you're really
Mm-hmm.
interested in. Um for me, I really like basketball, and so I've had some fun kind of using statistics to analyze things there, just
Yeah.
to
Hmm.
learn a bit more about what I've learned in the city, and so that's
Yeah,
um,
analyzing. I really love analyzing. But I hate
yeah.
statistics. Yeah. Anyway, back to the questions from chat. What's your rarest cube? I don't know how to identify a rare cube as rare.